Well, hey garden friends, it's Destry. Welcome back to my yard. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about how to preserve some of the beauty from your garden. So here as we get into, kind of into late August, it's time to start thinking about, do you want to preserve some of the beauty from your garden for this year to carry you through the fall, into the winter, and maybe even into next spring? So let's talk a little bit about drying plants, collecting seeds, and preserving the beauty of our gardens now for the future. So when I was a new gardener, I never really thought about this topic before. So that's kind of why I wanted to bring it to you today. So if you're new to gardening, or even if you're not, um, it's kind of fun to think about how we can preserve part of our garden. So one way to do that is to dry flowers or dry, things from the garden. And if you're not sure what to dry or how to do it, I would say just experiment. I'm going to show you a couple things that I'm drying today here in my greenhouse and have been for the last week or two. But I would say if you're, if you're wondering, hey, I've got this really beautiful bloom, I wonder how it would dry. Give it a try. Give it a try. It's not, there's nothing like learning from experience, right? And then the other thing to start thinking about this time of year is collecting seeds. So instead of, deadheading all those dead blooms or, maybe cutting every single flower from your garden to put in a vase, maybe there's some that you need to kind of leave alone and let them do their natural process of starting to set seed so that later into the fall when things start to dry out a little bit more and the season really starts to come to an end, you can take those dried seed heads and have seeds you've collected to plant next spring and enjoy next year. So there's a couple reasons to think about this topic right now as we head in towards the end of the summer and the beginning of fall months. So let me flip the camera around today and I'll show you a few things that I have drying and kind of my plan for that. And then a few things I've started to collect seed from and some more things that I'm planning to collect seed from here in my yard. So this is what my greenhouse has looked like for the past couple weeks, and you can see I've got these bundles of things hanging. I have these really nice little clips that I can use in my greenhouse. By the way, my greenhouse is a Pelram greenhouse, or Pelram, not sponsored or anything, but that is my greenhouse. So they make these little clips that you can clip on, and it makes it really easy to hang bundles of things upside down to dry. So you can see that's what I've been working on here. And an easy way to do that is to just, tie a string around what you'd like to dry and hang it upside down and see what happens. Does the color stay? Is it something that, sheds a lot, or is it something that will stay pretty nice for you? The other thing you can do is rubber band it. So you could rubber band a bundle and then hang them upside down. So you don't have to have a huge greenhouse like I have to dry things. You could do this in a sunny spot in your yard. You could even hang things from a tree branch or something like that. But some of the things I'm drying are my alliums. So these are a drumstick allium. So these are a bulb that were nice and purple when they were blooming. And you can see I've had them hanging upside down to try to dry them and preserve these blooms. Also, another thing to think about, even if you're not crazy about the color that things might dry, you can always hit them with a little bit of spray paint. So when the foliage is dry all the way, you could potentially, spray paint them a little bit and get that color back, or, modify the color. These here are actually the bloom stalks from my hostas. So I'll show you my hostas here in a minute. The blooms were kind of done, so I just hung them upside down, and again, just to kind of experiment. What might happen? Would I get some cool textures here from these bloom stalks if I dried them? These I was showing you just a second ago are actually ones that I've foraged. So I was on a piece of property and I saw these really cool flowers, and I thought, boy, I wonder if those would dry. And so I just experimented. I grabbed some and they seem to be drying really well. Another plant that's really easy to dry and really pretty when it dries is hydrangea. So if you have a hydrangea bush, don't hesitate to cut some of the blooms. You can hang them upside down like this and kind of speed dry them. Or another way you can do that is to actually cut them, put them in a vase with water, and then just don't fill up the water again. Just let them naturally dry as that water evaporates out, and that can preserve the hydrangeas. Now I like to wait a little bit until my hydrangeas color up a little bit more. These are a little bit green for me. I like them to be a little bit more on the pink side. So I'll be drying more hydrangeas here as we go. Something I just cut today is this amaranth. So I'm hoping it will maintain this beautiful color, at least part of it. I'm not sure how the leaves will dry, but I'm hoping that the blooms will dry nicely. So more to report on that, that attempt. And then here's that same plant that I foraged for. So I can't tell you what it is, except I thought, well, that might be nice as a dried plant. Something else I foraged for recently are these. I think they're called a money plant, I think is the name for them, but they're absolutely beautiful. And I'm also keeping some of the seeds so that I can start these on my own. I think they would look really pretty in cut flower arrangements or just as dried flowers. So those are ones that I found, again, on a piece of property, and I just clipped them. Couple of other things I've dried. Something that dries really well is yarrow. So I cut these and you can see they have maintained the color really nicely. And then any kind of grasses like wheat. Again, these were just some that I kind of foraged for, and I kind of wish I would have gotten more just because it's such a pretty tall grass. And then I do have some more alliums back here. Now these alliums actually have seeds in them, so I could collect the seeds if I wanted to. One easy way to do that is to just tip these upside down in a paper bag and kind of shake them, and the seeds will come off. Because if I try to arrange with these as is, you can see the seeds kind of want to come out. So usually what I'll do is kind of de-seed them, and then they have these nice long stalks. So those are just a few things that I have been working on drying here in the greenhouse. I think I have one. Do I have one more? Yeah, I have a couple more things out here. So let me show you those. Lavender is a good one. So these ones I clipped from my lavender plant and again hung them upside down for a week or so. And lavender can make a beautiful dried arrangement, and it's just, you know, of course, smells really good. You can also flip these upside down and harvest them and put them in like a sachet or something like that. So I have those to work with this season. And then these are actually daylilies. So once the daylilies bloom and they're done, you kind of have these long stalks that stick out of the plant, and they're kind of a nice length, and you know they're hollow, so they're not as heavy as like a stick, but they still have that stick appearance. So what I'm planning on doing with these, you guys, is something like this. So this is a branch that actually fell off of one of my trees in the front, and I kind of gave me an idea, and I thought, what if I take some of these branches, I have some pine cones, and then just did a little either you know, wiring them on there or hot gluing them on these branches, and then I could kind of use those as a base to arrange with. So more to come on that. I'll let you know how that process goes. But these sticks here are from my daylilies. Yeah, I've got quite a few things drying and some more things in the yard that I will be trying to dry. And the reason behind most of the drying is this here. So I am going to be experimenting with some wreath making this season. So you can see I've been kind of thrifting and collecting some wreath shapes. And my goal is to try to make wreaths with all natural materials, with the exception of maybe these. So these I actually picked up at the Goodwill, so I thrifted them. And they are eucalyptus, but I think they have been possibly spray painted. I'm not sure, maybe this is the actual color. They seem a little like they might have been manipulated or dyed in some way, maybe not spray painted, but maybe dyed. So I'm going to be using those as well for my wreath making. And then again, if I have something that maybe the color isn't that great, like wouldn't these alliums look pretty just with maybe just a little hint of some gold spray paint, give it a little shine. I thought that might be nice. Or you could pick some other like autumnal colors, or if you were doing a holiday wreath, you could do something like that. Now I'm planning on doing fall wreaths for my wreath making, but I'm still waiting on a few things. I'm waiting on more hydrangeas. I'm waiting on this amaranth. So I want to have all of my ingredients before I get to wreath making. So definitely stay tuned. I'm stepping on a pine cone. Definitely stay tuned. I'll be doing doing more videos on how my wreath making goes. And so stay tuned for that for sure for my channel. Thing that can look really pretty, you guys, dried is this like purple fountain grass. So again, any grasses that have these kind of tops, something like cattails, things like that, that you might be able to find out in nature. Now, I'm not going to cut off of these right now because I want them for my fall display in the front of my house. Here's more hydrangeas I could harvest. But again, if you just look through your yard, are there things that you're like, well, I wonder what that would look like dried? You know, I wonder if that would dry nicely. It doesn't hurt to try. You can see my limelight primes are starting to color up just beautifully. I'm just really enjoying how gorgeous the pinks are here. And so I'm not wanting to cut on them yet, but as it starts to get more cold and rainy, I can come in and clip some of these and do more dried arrangements with them. Another thing that works really well for drying, you guys, is rosemary. So if you cut rosemary and again, just hang it upside down, put it in a warm spot, it can dry really nicely. And again, it smells good, but it can also look really nice in like a wreath or a dried arrangement. So as well as drying things, another thing to be thinking about is collecting seeds. So a couple plants that are really easy, I think, as a kind of a newer gardener, a newer cut flower gardener to collect seeds from are zinnias, snapdragons, lots of different things. So let me take you around the yard and show you a couple things I'm going to be collecting seeds from this year. So snapdragons are really easy to collect seeds from. Basically, you want to wait until they all start to kind of have this little, like I call it a little tongue thing that sticks out. And then the seeds of the snapdragons are really tiny. But again, you have to not deadhead them. You have to just leave them on the plant for as long as it takes for them to kind of get brown. So I'm still wanting to use these for cut flowers, so I am still deadheading my snapdragons, but I did have a few that I kind of forgot about and they did go to seed, so I'll show you those in a minute. But snapdragons are a really easy one to collect seed from. Another easy one to collect seed from are zinnias. So again, my zinnias, I'm still using them in some cut flower arrangements and things like that. But if I have one that's like a real stunner and I'm like, ooh, I really want more of this particular one, then I won't cut it, right? I'll just let it do its thing on the plant and let it go to seed, and then I can collect the seeds. So the hardest part about seed collecting, I think, is just like trying to not deadhead them or not cut them. Scabiosa is another one that's real easy to collect seed from. Again, just leave it alone, don't do anything, and eventually this bloom will dry out and you can clip it and put it in a little paper bag and collect the seeds. So it's a little early for some of these for me to be collecting seeds, but it's definitely something I'm thinking about as we're getting into late summer and early fall. Something new to me to collect seeds from are marigolds. So again, I'm letting some of these marigolds just kind of deteriorate. I'm gonna try to get in here without disturbing the bees. So here's one that's getting all brown and kind of dead, and in here are a bunch of seeds. So I'm letting it do its thing, but I will be coming in. Here's a few more that are, you know, they start to get desiccated. And you can do a couple things. You can just leave them in place and let nature take its course, and they will, you know, self-seed. I could grab that dead-headed one and just kind of sprinkle it around to, you know, spread the seed if I wanted to have more marigolds here next year, or I can clip them, put them in a little paper bag or on a piece of newspaper and let them dry out. I also have some seed collecting envelopes I'll show you here in a second, which makes seed collecting really easy for some of these flowers. So over here in this bed, I have some campanula bluebells that, let's see if I can find one, that have gone to seed. So this is what the campanula looks like you know, fresh one here, but this is what they look like when they get desiccated. And this is another one that if I just leave it alone, I can come in here later and collect these little, ooh, there's a spider there, but I can collect the little desiccated seed heads. And I did that last year, and I had all my campanula grow from, you know, seeds I had collected. So if I get in here kind of close, see, here's a whole branch of them here. So I'm just letting them dry and do their thing for now, but I will be coming in there and collecting them because I want more of these gorgeous flowers next year. They're so pretty in the spring. So that's another one that's really easy to collect seed from. I'm also hoping to collect seed from this purple basil. I grew this from seed this year, and as I'm looking at these flower stalks, I'm realizing, hey, I think if I just kind of leave these alone, let them do their thing, that I can probably get some seed from these. This also would be another pretty one to dry, I think. Now, right now I'm still using it in cut flower arrangements, so I want to keep it here and keep it fresh for cutting. But that's another one that would be really pretty for drying and collecting seeds. It's purple basil. Over here in my zinnia patch, again, now is the time where I want to be looking at, you know, some of these are the ones from Florette, which she has announced that they are not doing a seed sale this next year. So if I have one that's just really beautiful and exemplary, I want to keep it. I want to let it go to seed so that I can collect the seeds from these. Now, another thing you can try to do is actually use them in arrangements. And then again, let that arrangement dry. So just don't put any more water in it. And then, you know, take the flowers out of the arrangement and see if you can harvest some seeds. So I did that recently. I had an arrangement I did with my zinnias here, and it did not sell in the flower stand. So I enjoyed it in my house for about a week, and I dumped all the water out and just started to let those zinnias dry out. So let me show you in the greenhouse what those look like and what my plan is for those. Another one I'm going to try to collect seed from this year is this amaranth. Now, I haven't collected seed from amaranth, but you know, again, these big, beautiful flowers, that's all this is going to be seed. So I can imagine I'll have no problem getting some seed from this. I do think it's probably one of those things that I need to leave it on the stem and collect it a little bit later in the fall, but it's something I'm thinking about as I'm cutting and harvesting, that I want to leave some behind and not cut it so that I can harvest the seed. Over here I have some taller marigolds, and again, it's kind of hard to just not do the deadheading, just let them desiccate. But again, thinking about next year, I would really like to have some seed of this particular variety. They're a little bit taller, they've been a really prolific bloomer, and I would like to collect some seeds. So I'm doing my best to not cut them all, to let them desiccate, and so that I can get some seed from some of the spent blooms here. I can't believe I have a little columbine blooming still. Now that things are cooling down, it's putting on some fresh blooms. I did collect a lot of columbine seed this year when my first flush of blooms went to seed. I've got a couple clumps of columbine. This is some here. So that's another one. This one's really spread. That's another one that was really easy to collect seed from this year. There's a snake right there. Do you see that tail of a snake right there? Oh my God, it just freaked me out so bad. Oh my gosh. I know that's a sign of a healthy garden, but I do not like snakes, you guys. I do not like snakes. Tell me that's a good snake, right? Is a snake a good problem to have in the garden? Oh my gosh, that just scared the crap out of me. Okay, I'm going back in the greenhouse. That snake freaked me out. I have seen snakes in my garden occasionally, but gives me the heebie-jeebies. Anyway, let me show you a couple of the seeds that I've collected and what I'm using to preserve the seeds or store the seeds after I'm collecting them. Ah, snakes. Oh! So back to seeds. These are the zinnias I was talking about that I let kind of dry out in the vase. And my goal here is to see if I can get some of these. I don't know if you guys can see that, but right here on the little tail end, that is the seed. So if I get in here, and again, I don't know that all of these have matured enough to grab the seeds from them, but some of them might have. I gotta kind of get in here and pull them apart and see. I mean, really, you should let them do their thing on the plant. So I don't know how much. It looks like I've got one right here that might be good. So I'm not sure if all of these will be viable, but I can still let them dry and collect the seeds. So that's what the little seeds look like. Aren't they cute? And so I thought, well, before I throw them in the garbage, I'll let them dry and I'll see if I can harvest any seeds off of here. Let's see if this one has a couple. Oh yeah, this one's got some there. See that? And again, I'm not entirely sure that they'll be viable, but I'll give it a shot. And then over here, I have my little seed storage bin that I got from Amazon. It's been great. And then I did get these little seed packets from Amazon. So you can see I've saved some nasturtium seeds so far. I've got some sweet pea flowers. Oh, that's another one that's really easy. I'll show you that one. Lots of nasturtium, lots of nasturtium. Oh, some garlic. Oh, these are just little baby bulbs. These are like little mini bulbs that came off my bulbs of garlic. So I saved those. And I was going to show you the columbine. Yeah, there's the columbine. So anyway, I just got a big pack of these empty seed packs from Amazon, and that makes it really easy to, you know, once you collect the seeds, label them so you know what you're doing with your life. And I just pop them in here. So yeah, so that's been how I've been collecting some seeds. Now I've also turned into the crazy seed lady, and so I was actually out at a winery the other day, and they had these seed pods like hanging down from these trees. So I grabbed two of them and I stuck them in my purse because I wanted to see, I think they were, what's the name of the plant? I can't think of it right now. Anyway, so there's those. These I actually foraged as well. These were off of a tree. And I thought, oh, that's kind of a pretty tree. And they were just hanging there. So I grabbed some of those. Oh, these are that money plant. That's what the little seeds look like. So I'm kind of turning into a little bit of a crazy seed lady where I'm just going around like finding seeds from random places. And then these are the snapdragons I wanted to show you. These itty bitty little things, that is the seeds. So you can imagine if I was to let all of them go to seed, I would have snapdragons coming out my ears. But if you let them desiccate, right, until they get really brown like that, and you break open these little pods, you will get all those little seeds. So I have been starting to collect some snapdragon seeds, and as we get into the fall, I'll start to collect more. I just wanted to show you what the Mery Gold seeds look like. So when you open up this part here, after you let them kind of shrivel up, you'll see all these little black, they remind me of like little porcupine quills or whatever. And those are the Mery Gold seeds. And then it's been a couple days, so I did go ahead and process, or I'm in the midst of processing some of the seeds from the zinnias also. So I went ahead and pulled most of those out too. So now I can let them dry a little bit more, and then I can actually separate the spent flower from the actual seed, but I'm letting them dry a little bit more. But I wanted to show you what the Mery Gold seeds look like. Aren't they pretty? One more I was thinking about for collecting seeds, I'm going to stand in the shade because I'm getting hot, are sunflowers. Sunflowers, really easy to collect the seeds, but same thing, you've got to let those seed heads kind of dry and droop and fully develop before you clip them and maybe put them in a bag. But sunflowers are another good one for collecting seeds. I'm sure there's lots more, so tell me in the comments, what are some of the things from your garden that you like to dry, that you like to collect seed from? Like, give me some ideas, right? Here on this channel, I'd like to make it a community where we share ideas. So that's what I try to do with my videos, is kind of show you what I'm doing, what I'm thinking about. And so let me know in the comments what kind of things are easy to collect seed from. What kind of things in your garden are you going to try to hang upside down and give them a dry and see what happens? Are there other things that I'm forgetting? Another thing I was thinking about drying are coneflower. Coneflower can be really pretty to dry, but you just get here, I'll flip this around and I'll show you. I wish I could show you here. Maybe I'll go like this. Coneflower, can I see it? Yeah. So when you dry the coneflower, though, you only get kind of this pokey part in the middle. You don't really get the petals, but they make a really pretty dried flower, which you can just leave in your landscape because the birds will eat the seeds, is what I've heard. Or you could, clip them and use them in dried flower arrangements. Anyway, tell me in the comments, what do you like to dry? What do you collect seeds from? Are you thinking about these things yet, or are you still in the full swing of summer gardening and yardening, or are you starting to think about these things in your area? All right, Yardners, well, that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope that this gave you some ideas and some motivation to think about how you could preserve some things from your garden this year and some ways to do that. Again, more to come on my wreath making experiments and how these things are gonna dry for me and what ends up working the best. I like to be creative, and so it's something I'm gonna try this year, is this wreath making. And so stay tuned for more on that. I'm excited to give that a try, but I'm just kind of waiting for a few more things to dry out. And right now, just trying to enjoy the beauty in my garden. So I hope that you liked the video. If you did, could you share it with a friend who also likes to garden? And if you need me, I'll be hanging out in my Oregon yard. I'll see you later. Bye.